Back in 2013, Sonos introduced their first soundbar, the Play Bar. The Play Bar was followed by the Play Bass in 2017 and the Beam in 2018. While Sonos was introducing the Play Bass and Beam, their engineers had already started working on their next generation soundbar that would take advantage of the latest in home theater surround sound technology, Dolby Atmos. Dolby Atmos entered the residential home theater market in 2014 and at Audio Advice, we feel it is by far and away the most revolutionary surround sound technology since the introduction of surround sound in the 1980s. To get the fully immersive sound Dolby Atmos has to offer, the speakers have to steer sound all around you. Today's review is on the new Sonos Arc, their first Dolby Atmos soundbar. With its 11 drivers and specially tuned circuits, the Arc can fill a room with awesome surround sound while offering all the same great Sonos options for streaming music. If you want to read our full review on the Sonos Arc, head over to audioadvice.com by clicking on our link in the description. Along with this review, you'll find hundreds of other reviews, comparisons, buyer's guides, and much more. Now let's get started. In a departure from the look of their previous soundbars, the Arc has a much more stylish, rounded look. The Arc comes in black and white and is designed to either sit under your television on a shelf or it can also be wall-mounted with an optional bracket. In the typical clever way Sonos thinks about things, when you mount it on the bracket, the Arc uses magnets to sense it's been wall-mounted and makes electronic adjustments to its acoustics. Dimensionally, the Arc is designed to match up best with TVs 55 inches and up with a total width of 45 inches. It fits pretty well under most of today's televisions as it's less than 3.5 inches tall and it's about 4.5 inches deep. On the back, you'll find an HDMI connection, an Ethernet port, and a power connection. The HDMI connection is designed for the new HDMI-ARC type of signal where your TV sends the sound and control signals back down an HDMI cable connected to its HDMI-ARC output. Don't worry if your television is older. Sonos includes an optical to HDMI converter so you can connect an optical cable from your output of your television to the Arc's HDMI input. If you're not sure it will work well with your television, give us a call or chat with us at audioadvice.com and we can help you out. Sonos has spent a lot of time thinking about how to make the Arc simple to use while enabling it to deliver incredible performance results. Like most new Sonos products, there are small buttons on the top that give you quick access to play, pause, track skip, volume, and room grouping just by tapping or swiping the top of the Arc. It also delivers big on voice commands with both Alexa and Google Assistant. But should you want privacy, you can simply push a button on the Arc to turn off the microphone. Setting up the Arc is about as simple as can be. The new Sonos app will walk you through the steps and all you'll have to do is hold your smartphone near the Arc to transfer your Wi-Fi credentials over. You can also control the Arc with your television remote for another level of convenience. If your television supports HDMI-ARC, all you have to do is make the connection and the Arc knows to work with your television. If your TV doesn't have HDMI-ARC connection, the Sonos app will walk you through a few quick steps to have the Arc learn the commands of your television remote. So either way, operation is a piece of cake. Another great feature about all Sonos products is they operate within the same ecosystem and app. You can easily group rooms to fill your house with the same music or separate them for different listening tastes. Sonos spent many years developing the acoustics for the Arc. There are 11 speaker drivers to provide room-filling sound. The 5-channel phased array using new custom elliptical woofers provides the left, center, right, and surround sound channels. 2 height channel speakers fire the sound upward for the immersive Atmos experience. You can add a Sonos Sub for extended bass or a pair of Sonos One SLs for rears. If you add the rears, the surround sound channel drivers automatically change to additional bass drivers for the main left and right channels. The team at Sonos decided to take things to the extreme in designing the sound profile of the Arc. They added a dialogue enhancement feature that brings up the level of the dialogue track to make it even easier to understand what the performers are saying on screen. There's even a night sound mode that will reduce the levels of big explosions for those times you want to watch a movie and not wake up the kids or neighbors. A Sonos feature that came out a few years ago is something called TruePlay. This feature is by no means unique to the Arc, but we think it's important to talk about as it's a huge advantage. If you ask any sound engineer what affects the sound more than anything else, they will say the room. Sonos TruePlay is a very easy to use system that will fine-tune the Sonos speaker to the physical room it is in. All you have to do is walk around the room with your smartphone, and in about 3 to 4 minutes, TruePlay calibrates your Arc to sound as good as possible in that room. We should point out though that TruePlay only works with iOS devices at this point. If you have questions on how to best use the software, give us a call or chat with us at audioadvice.com. We began testing the Arc even before it was available to consumers. In our tests, setup was super simple, as it always is with Sonos. We connected the HDMI-ARC input to the HDMI-eARC connector on the rear of a new Sony television. Plugged in power, in a couple of minutes, we're up and running. We like the fact Sonos pushes you to run TruePlay first, as in some rooms it can make a tremendous difference. The room we tested it in was a pretty typical family room, about 12 feet wide by 16 feet deep and a 9-foot ceiling. We tried the Arc first by itself, then we added a pair of Play 5s for surrounds, and finally added the Sonos Sub. In our testing, we found the Arc is so good at throwing out three-dimensional Atmos soundstage that adding a pair of rear speakers was only marginally better. We suspect if you had a more open, non-rectangular room, they would benefit you more, but you will be far better off taking the money a pair of rears would cost and putting that towards adding a Sonos Sub. While the Arc has okay bass, its small size does limit the deep bass it can put out. So for a much more immersive home theater experience, we highly recommend adding the Sonos Sub. When you go the route of adding a sub and/or a pair of rear speakers, the Sonos app gives you much more control over the soundbar-based surround sound system than any other soundbar we know of. Not only do you get TruePlay, you can dive into the app and adjust levels individually for each of the surrounds and the subwoofer. You even get a lip sync adjustment just like you see in better home theater receivers. This makes a Sonos full home theater system very similar to what you might get with separate components from an adjustability standpoint. The soundbar category is one of the largest ones in the electronics industry. Many people do not have the space for a system of separate speakers and a home theater receiver, but want better sound than their television speakers. The Sonos Arc, especially when you couple it with the Sub, can deliver a very impressive performance for home theater surround. Since all Sonos components are wireless, the only connection you need to make for even a full system is the HDMI out from your television to the Arc. The rest of the components will all run wirelessly. However, there are some best practices that we include in our video to all purchasers of Sonos equipment at Audio Advice to help make sure they get the best setup. The full Sonos Arc solution does Dolby Atmos better than any soundbar we have heard. But don't take our enthusiasm the wrong way. If you do have the room and budget for a system using good, separate components, you will get an even better experience. But if you don't, the Arc solution with their Sub is pretty hard to beat for the form factor, ease of use, sound, and not to mention the great Sonos app for music enjoyment. If you have any questions about the Arc or any other home audio or home theater gear, be sure to give us a call, chat with one of our experts at audioadvice.com, or stop into one of our Raleigh or Charlotte, North Carolina showrooms. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the latest home audio and home theater content. We'll see you next time.